Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of An Author's Advice. I'm Tim Horn. Today, we are picking the topic to talk about how to set up a book signing or an author event. And I have my friend Michael Lilov here, and he's going to join me in this conversation.
Hey everyone.
Okay, so we can start off on the questions whenever you're ready.
All right. Yeah, I've got a few days here, a few questions. All right. So the first question is, how do you find places to have your book signings?
I would definitely say check Facebook, check online. You can go type in book signings or vendor events, and they generally provide you with a list of options of local events, or if you're willing to travel, you can go to events that are further away. I would definitely say, look over the list, see what events are coming up in your area. You can find pretty much anything you're looking for. I've been to libraries, bookstores, schools, farmers markets, fairs and festivals, you name it, I've been to it. So
Well,
it just depends upon what you're looking for, what kind of place you want to find.
hmm, yeah. So it almost seems like you're saying it's fairly easy to get book signings.
Yeah, it can be. But what you want to do once you find a place that you think you're interested in is you're gonna either email them or give them a call, and you just explain, I'm a local author. I think I might be interested in having an event at your place. And generally, you just talk to them about it. You pick a date and time, and I've never had anybody who's given me a difficult time or said, they don't want to do an event. So, you have to arrange the details, and then once you have a date set, you post it on your pages, social media, website, let people know you're going to be there, and then you go to the event and you can sell your books.
Well, nice. All right. So the second question, how often should you have a book signing?
Well, there's no specific answer to that question. I think comes down to personal preference. Mine is once a month because then you always have something going on or something, people can look forward to. If you're a writer, your readers want to know that you're actively keeping busy because if you only have, say, a one every 3 to 4 months, people are going to start to lose interest. But,
Hmm.
I'd say once a month just to have something people can say, put on their calendars and say, oh, he's going to be here, or he's going to be here. Um, Also, it comes down to your work schedule. I mean, we all have full-time jobs, college, and stuff like that going on. So, you don't want to keep taking off too much work or setting aside the important things. Not that the book signing isn't important, but you have to make sure that you're balancing your writing life with the rest of your life and getting everything in that you need to get in. But I think it comes down to how much can you handle with your schedule.
Right.
And once a month is again a minimum for me because I've had months where I've able to get two events in. So if you can handle more than one event a month, I would definitely say go for it. It just depends upon can you get off work? Do you have something you need where you need to be? So it boils down to personal preference and obviously the more events you have, the more books you sell, the more you get your face out there. So I would definitely say keep trying to schedule events. And of course, a key important part of that is, like I said, letting people know on your social media and website that you're going to be at these events because it does you no good to show up and if no one knows you're there, they can't come.
Hmm.
So definitely
Yep.
making yourself known where you're going to be, when you're going to be there, have the address. If it's going to be a larger event, that's more than just you, like there's other people are going to be there, let them know what to expect. Giving people the particular information they're going to need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Do you think that number would increase if you start doing this full time?
It definitely would because right now writing has never been my main source of income. It's always just been a side thing I do for fun, but if I'm gonna be having it as my main source of income, I'm gonna wanna do as many events as I can
Right.
because in my experience, that's really where I make my sales is different events. So, that would definitely increase if I didn't have to work either full time or have to work as much. And another thing, I actually just recently tried it this week. It's called the Street of Shops. Basically, what it is, it's a big building full of like hundreds of vendors, and you rent a place for a month, and you drop off your stuff, and they sell it for you. So it's like I don't actually have to be there. I just have to make sure I supply the books, and they sell the books. They take 10%, and then they send me the rest of the money at the end of the month. So
Huh.
there are different things like that you can also try. If, like I said, you are super busy, but you still want to sell books, you can try it that
Right.
way.
Huh. That's wild. Like, how much do you typically make from that?
I just started it this week, so I have to see how the month goes.
Okay. All right. Well, nice.
Yep.
All right. So my third question is, what should you do to prepare for a book signing?
Well, like I said, the one of the first key things is you want to let people know you're going to be there, social media, website, all that stuff. As far as preparing for the event itself, you want to get in charge of whoever is running either the store or the fair, and you want to ask them, is there going to be a cost for me? Because I've been to events where totally free, they're just happy to have an author and you don't have to pay a thing. And I've been to events where it's like they have a very limited number of spaces, and if you want to reserve one, you have to pay like $30 for the day. So
Mhm.
you'll want to know, what am I walking into? Do I have to have money for this or is it free? Another thing you'll want to know is, are they supplying you with table and chair? If it's outside, are they supplying you with any weather protection? Or is that your responsibility to bring those things? Because, like I
Mhm.
said, I've been to events where they give you everything you need, and I've been to events where they say, that's the vendor's responsibility. So, knowing what you'll need to bring with you is very important because, especially if you're outside, the last thing you want to do is get rained on with a bunch of books. So you'll
Mhm.
need to you'll need to know that. I also recommend, if you're going to be there 5 or 6 hours, bring a water bottle, bring a lunch, just plan accordingly for what you're going to need to know for the day. Um, Obviously, bring your author copies, any promotional materials, QR codes, things that you would use to promote your book while you're there. Um, you're going to want a cash box because, say, for example, you want to buy a $16 book and you hand me a $20 bill. I'm going to need to make change. So, bringing those things ahead
Mhm.
of time, fives, ones, definitely important because, I mean,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you are running a business, so you need to be able to do that the correct way.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's another side of being an author that people don't often think about is the business side of it.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to add as far as, and this is more after the event than before, is while you're there, you're going to want to take lots of pictures because then you can go onto the social media page and say, well, today I went to this place and it was very successful. And you can post the pictures so people can see not just when before the event happens, but also after the event. You can see where you were, what you did. I posted on my newsletter every month. So just having those pictures and having something to talk about, and show where you went, that's very
Mhm.
nice for book promotion.
Yeah. Nice. Fantastic. All right. So, last question I've written down here. So, would you say it's better to go by yourself or should you go to a group? Like, is it common to go with a group or?
Well, I've done both. I've been to events where it's just I'm totally independent. I scheduled an event, and I've been to events with a group called Authors Inc. And basically, what it is it's a bunch of authors who got together and they pool their resources to sell books as a group. I've been to the Bloomsburg Fair with this group 2 years now. I'm planning on going again in September. And how it works is they get a table, and then you reserve so much time at that table. So you could spend 3 days there, 1 day there, however much you want, and you come for the day, and you're selling your books at the table with 6, 7 other people who also bring their books, and every group's going to be different. But in my experience with this group, it has been a good experience. We all try to kind of band together to help each other make sales. So, for example, if you're a customer coming looking for a specific type of book, I don't have that book, but I know the author standing next to me does have that book. I could point you in their direction, and they would do the same for me, vice versa, you know?
Hmm.
So, I mean, of course, we're all trying to make sales individually, but it's a group mentality where it's like we also want to see each other succeed.
Right.
And there are definitely pros and cons to that. The pros would be, like with the Bloomsburg Fair, for example, it's expensive to get a spot there, but because I'm attached to the group, I would get in for free because they get a table there for free. So because I'm part of their group, so do I. So
Hmm.
had I tried to get in there on my own, it would have been very expensive for me to do so. So that's definitely a benefit. Also another thing is you're with these other people maybe 6, 7 hours for the day, so you get to talk, you get to have someone to, learn from because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to sell our books, different new creative ways to do it, and you can see how other authors operate and try using some of their methods to sell your books, and they can see how you operate and learn something from your methods to help them sell books. So we all learn from each other.
Hmm.
Another thing, like I said, is especially if you're there 6, 7 hours, it's nice to have someone to talk to, and you can look at their books. Maybe I've bought a few off other authors, just to see what their writing style is like, get to read it. Some of the negatives is, of course, like I said, you're all trying to make sales, so sometimes you'll have someone in the group who is more of a salesman and kind of takes away from the other authors in the group. So you definitely have to, respectively be competitive because you also want to sell your books versus
Hmm.
when you're by yourself, you don't have to worry about that because you're the only author at the table.
Right.
So, like I said, I've done it both ways, so I think just you have to kind of feel it out. What are you more comfortable with
Hmm.
as a writer? Do you like to be more just the only one there, or do you like to be part of a group?
Right. I would assume too that like the the genre of the books that you're selling, it depends a lot on that too. Because if they're looking for like a mystery or something, maybe they come to your seat at the table. But then if they're looking for like, I don't know, like a romance novel or something, then they're gonna go to somebody else at the table.
That's definitely true, and like I said, a lot of people, my experience, they just kind of look and see what's out there, because all the books would be displayed right out in the front. So,
Hmm.
they're looking, see, and sometimes, like I said, they'll ask, and generally authors just say, well, I don't have this type of genre, but this person does. So everybody's looking for something different. Uh, I'd like to also point out, as far as author copies go, and this kind of circles back to book signing preparedness. Um, you generally want to have maybe 15, 20 author copies for an event because you don't want to go to an event and of course you do want to do well, but you don't want to get to the point where it's like you run out of books because
Hmm.
then you're going to have people who aren't going to get any and you're going to have to close down shop early. So definitely making sure that you have, like I said, 20, 15, 20 books on hand for an event, because you want to make sure you have more than enough for the event, not too little.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Yeah. It's the idea of book signings, at least to me, I like to write, but I haven't gotten very far with that yet. I haven't published any books or anything like that. So book signings are something that I don't know a whole lot about. But I guess one interesting thing is like how do you know that you're ready to start like publishing and doing book signings and things like that? Like I assume there's a lot of stages to get to that point.
Well, most of it in my experience has been trial and error. There's no manual that comes with being a new writer. I mean, that's kind of why I'm
Right.
making this podcast in the first place, as
Fair.
a help to people. But I think you'll know you're ready when, first of all, you once you have the book published, then you'll know because you actually have to start selling it.
Right.
And again, that circles down to, like you said earlier, a lot of people don't think of the business side, they think of the writing side.
Hmm.
Once you actually have the book published, it definitely becomes more of the business side because
Mm,
you have to start thinking along the lines of now I have a product. I need to start
right.
making money, making a profit. And again, writing is not just about the money, at least for me. I
Right.
think for any author, the money is important. We all want to do well and be successful, but it's about getting your book to your readers, you know, seeing how they feel, getting that feedback. You know, it's about the book itself. You want to see people have your book and, know you're out there as a writer. Um, you can I'd say start immediately after you get published. Maybe give yourself a week or 2 or a month to feel it out, but, there's nothing stopping you from starting right away. If you really wanna put down roots and grow as a writer, you can just give people a call, like I said, look online, see if there are any local bookstores in your community. I've done like I said, there's a local farmer's market near my area that they meet every Saturday, and it's anybody who sells pretty much anything. You're welcome to come and reserve a spot. I've done that. So, just see what's out there. And I mean, if you're willing to travel too, you can definitely find bigger events further away that you can go to.
Mhm.
So just I'd say see what's out there, and there's no such thing as too many sales. So if you want to start right away and grow your business, that's definitely something I'd recommend.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, too, another thing you have to be ready for is definitely like if you don't have a lot of experience dealing with people as a businessman, a salesman, you're definitely going to get a lot, but just being ready to, because like I said, you're running a business, so you have to be able to talk with people. They might ask you questions about the books, so you'll have to be ready and to engage people in conversation and say, well, here's the books I have, here's what they're about. They might want to just talk to you about just general conversation. So, you have to be ready to talk with people about your work, talk with people in general, and like I said, having the cash there to make change and signing books, it's all part of the deal.
Yeah, very social event.
Mhm. I think another piece of advice I would give to any new writers is, and I had to experience this firsthand, especially when you're first starting out, if you go to a book signing, people don't know who you are, so you may not sell anything or you may only sell one copy. So I wouldn't go to your first book signing expecting to sell a whole bunch of stuff. All you can do is put your stuff out there. You can be there, you smile, you engage people when they come, but don't expect to walk away right away selling lots of copies. I've been to events where I've only sold one or two. So it's like it takes time to grow a reputation as a writer. It takes time for people to know who you are and what you're selling. And a lot of people I've gotten the answer, sadly, is, well, that's very interesting, but I don't read, you know? So it's like some people might come up, they might look. I've had people congratulate me and then they walk away. So,
Hmm.
you just have to be prepared for whatever happens that day, whether you sell, whether
Right.
you don't. So, I would definitely say just don't get discouraged because it's going to take time, but definitely don't give up on it. Keep putting yourself out there, put your name out there, and eventually, hopefully, you'll grow.
Hmm. Yeah, just about getting the word out.
Mhm. And like I said, social media, website, those things are very, very helpful. I have the monthly newsletter. I also recommend bringing, if you have a newsletter, bring a sign-up sheet with you. Like I have a clipboard and pen, and people can just sign up right there at the booth. You know, QR codes. A lot of my short stories are ebooks, so people can come, they can scan the QR code, see the short story right there at the table, you know? So
Hmm.
just little tools, little tricks you can bring along to help you get sales that way.
Yeah, yeah, that's really smart. That there's something to take home with them.
Mhm. And ultimately, it all boils down to trial and error. See, you'll try this worked, it's successful. I'm going to keep doing it. This didn't work. I know not to try it next time.
Hmm.
Well, if that's all the questions you have for me today, I really appreciate you joining me on the podcast.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. If you ever need, uh, talk about any other topics, I'm free. So just let me know.
I appreciate that. And remember, guys, if you also would like to have a topic that you want to see discussed on this podcast, all you have to do is reach out, social media. You can message me, and we'll set up a time and we can do an episode with you. Uh, my website is timstales.net. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys listening to this podcast, and I hope you have a good day.